Thank you, Chairman, again. I'd like to welcome my colleagues again. Just appreciate you being here. Appreciate you taking the time to out of your busy schedules to be here. I really am honored that the Chairman would bring the committee here today so we can showcase what Utahns are so proud of. I'd also like to thank ARUP for hosting us today. Utah has some of the most innovative and fastest growing life science sectors in the country, and as up here we sacrifice a little bit of our ability to hear, it just showcases there's work to do, and this is a working lab, and there's a lot to be done, and so we appreciate the productivity that comes from this part of the First District. As the IRA, Inflation Reduction Act, that was signed into law in last Congress is implemented, I remain concerned not only about the law's impact on medical innovation, particularly for rare diseases, but that it may result in increased use of prior authorization and step therapy, fewer covered medicines, narrower pharmacy networks, and fewer plan options for seniors covered under Part D. A lot of times these pieces of legislation get branded as, a way to lower costs and this and that, but the reality of what takes place during this is going to limit all of the important aspects to providing care and getting that care to individuals at a lower cost, but at the same time identifying cures and promoting that type of innovation. There was bipartisan interest in reforming the Medicare Part D benefit for several years prior to the passage of IRA, so I urge members of this committee in particularly to work together towards improving the Part D program for seniors. So just wanted to mention that because I think it's so important to all the companies and the things that are working on this area. I'm not going to rehash the fact that tax is going to be important next year. Mr. Watanabe, you've already identified so much of that. I would ask Mr. Colmore, and again, Frank, please share. Could you speak to net operating losses? You introduced it a little bit. Just like the specifics of how it can be beneficial to a company, how they would use it, with some specific examples about some of these tax implications that you've already introduced. Mr. Colmore?
I feel inadequate to answer that sitting next to what looked like a tax attorney, but let me take a shot at it. The NOL monetization concept is very important for early stage companies because as they build up losses, as they're doing research, they're building up these losses, but capital becomes so critical to their success. And so the ability to monetize those either through a device of being able to market those, like a tax credit could be marketed, or to be able to utilize those like an earned income tax credit on a personal tax return, things of that nature. That generates capital that further advances the work. Now, we recognize there's a cost associated with that, but there are abilities to get returns on those kinds of investments. Someone asked me, how would you pay for something like that? The IRA, when it was passed, it supposedly generated a lot of savings, they say. Most of those savings are being redirected in other government programs. If even a fractional portion of that were redirected to this, it would fully cover any kind of costs associated with that.
Thank you. Anything to add, Frank?
Yeah, I would say maybe just in terms of putting it into operational practice, our company has been in existence since 2016. We've generated something like $1 billion in losses trying to get our first product to market before we generated a single dollar of revenue. You can't use your NOLs until you're profitable. I would hope that maybe sometimes the next 5 years I'll be profitable, right? But that's a long time to be sitting in that hole. Our ability to sell our NOLs to another company and bring that money in to invest into R&D immediately would make a huge difference for us and for earlier stage companies. And it's not really a cost to the government, it's just a shifting of when those NOLs are used, because I have a right to use them eventually. It's just a matter of, can I use that money today to invest in research and development versus waiting another 5 years or so until I start generating profits and can start to exploit my NOLs.
Excellent. Thank you for those specific examples. Dr. Suarez, as I wrap up, there's so much that Huntsman Cancer Institute does for this community. It doesn't exist without strong private sector involvement in donations and philanthropy. And just thank you for being here. This is what makes this area thrive so much. But just briefly, as you embrace AI and other types of technologies, what barriers exist for you all that you can't necessarily, find those new next generation innovative technologies that will help you find those cures?
Yeah, thank you so much for this question. And I'm very proud of living in Utah and being at the Huntsman Cancer Institute. As you said, you come here and this place is amazing and you just stay. There's a need for AI to be able to have data sharing integration and management. There's a lot of different electronic medical records that are very separate and spread. The AI technology can leverage that. We can integrate this data. We can share them in the proper ways, and that will lead to so much more innovation. So I think working on ways that we can safely integrate AI and share data will be imperative for us to continue to advance, and also use that to identify the patients that will benefit from new treatment options.
Thank you. Thank you for indulgence, Chairman.
Thank you. Mr.